Are video games art? Well, the first question you have to ask is, what exactly is art? There's been many obvious examples. There's music. I guess the first thing that popped in my mind are rap and rock. These have both been used for at least years and years to show how exactly somebody else feels. There's also a certain level of entertainment, but most of it is how somebody feels. Say, for example, a rap artist might write a song about how awful it feels living where he does. Say, for example, in this case, in the ghetto. There have been plenty of rock songs about global warming, conspiracies by the establishment, things that obviously have meaning to the person who's writing the song and playing the song, and adding that with, say, for example, music involved and like the actual, the notes being played and that kind of thing. They can stir certain kinds of emotions in the person who's listening to it. There's also, of course, paintings. There's the Mona Lisa, which has inspired hundreds of people to wonder who and why this was painted. Who painted this? Who is it? Why was it painted? What's the secret? There's another good example is movies. Just in the past, at least in my lifetime, there's been District 9, which relatively recently came out, which is all about people and when they were people living in vagrant camps. Racism is a big portion of that, and really, it's all about racism. I guess is the first thing that was really the point. There's also the movie V for Vendetta, which was originally a comic book, which explores fascism versus anarchy. Anarchy being in the movie's standpoint being the correct view, but it's still an exploration of that idea, of those ideals that show it. Another important thing is, art is definitely a form of expression, but every time a new art comes up, it always seems like society seems to have this period of time where it's not accepted as art. It's not even accepted as good. Things like rap music and rock and roll were at one point supposed to be corrupting human beings. Elvis Presley comes to mind, the very open sexuality involved in him. Rap music, swearing all the time. Besides, obviously, its racial points. There's been even going back even farther. There was book burnings when books first started kind of becoming a way that that the average common person could, theoretically speaking, write their thoughts and get them out to quite a large body of people. Plenty of people did then. Thankfully, it's become less noteworthy now, but book burnings were a serious problem. Now, of course, everybody knows that books are okay, but before there was the church didn't really like books, so they encouraged people to go out and burn them. Things that didn't didn't follow with the teachings that they had been giving. There's a famous quote and I love this quote personally by John Milton that goes, "Books are not absolutely dead things, but do contain a potency of life in them, active as that soul whose prodigy they are. Nay, they do preserve as in a vial the purest efficacy and extraction of that living intellect that bred them. Unless wariness be used, as good almost kill a man as kill a good book. He who kills a man kills a reasonable creature, God's image. But he who kills a good book kills reason itself, kills the image of God, as it were, in the eye." This was him kind of explaining why he felt that it was wrong to burn books. And ironically, he was also working in another medium being speech, which is also another thing about it, what I'm doing right now. Which is a bit of a performing art, being able to express what you want to say to somebody else. These all have the ability to show somebody else and to get your own point across to somebody else. It's two people, one person deciding, I want the other person to understand where I'm coming from, who I am, what makes me tick, and then that person going, okay, how can I show that to them? Writing, movies, music, speech, plays. These are all forms of getting your point across to somebody else. Now, I guess the next question we really have to ask is, what are video games? Well, video games are definitely an interactive medium. They're obviously played with controllers, and they're very new. They really couldn't have existed anything more than before the computer age. And a lot of people see it as coming from, say, for example, toys, which is true. One of the biggest pioneers of games being Nintendo, which is a Japanese company, originally started out as making toys. They started out as a toy company. But it's about the medium itself. It's a very interactive medium. Really, there's never a point when somebody isn't interacting with it. Through the entire thing, we have a method of control, being the controller, the joystick, whatever you want to call it. The player, as a result, always has to be considered at least somewhat an artist. They're definitely as much of an artist as the designer, because it's really all the designer is doing is laying out, say, for example, a movie, and then letting the other person direct the movie. They're giving you a script that you have to follow by, but whether you go on that script or just kind of walk around in circles is really up to you. If you want your character to walk 2 feet over and over again, it'll happen, and the story isn't going to progress until you start doing things. So there's always a certain level of interactivity. You're choosing to do things. You're choosing to create. You're choosing to find out what's happening, to go on the adventure, to save the princess, to kill the dragon, whatever you will. Another thing is that it kind of like movies before it, it has a lot of different aspects of other things. There's visual art, obviously the characters and the models and the enemies and the backgrounds have to look like something. You have to be somewhere. So there's definitely a lot of visual art in it, like painting, designing, those kind of things. There's also music. Music can very easily set the tone of a video game. Many gamers would be able to quote right now the theme song to Mario, because we all know it so well. It's such a iconic thing, and it's stayed with us so long. Of course, things like speech, trying to, there are characters without at least some kind of talking, whether it be body language or just talking like I'm doing right now. There's, of course, performing arts to it. You have to be, if your character's going to be saying something, he's saying it in real time. You're still doing things. You're still watching it, but you're also using the controller. Is he talking while sitting stock still, or is he talking while walking along and doing things? We have to make sure that the person is still engaged. So there's a certain level of performing arts. Debate. Characters are going to have to talk. They might get into arguments. But this is all combined with something that we don't really see very much, being the ability to step into somebody else's shoes, another person's position. Because while we're playing it, we sort of become the character. The character is the player, if you will. If there's a game about a homosexual man, then the player is stepping into the shoes of, at least in part, of a homosexual man. If it's supposed to be a heterosexual African American,